Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome back to Upgrades Explained, a series where I cover the legendary upgrades from the game Battle for Neighborville, to ultimately decide if they're worth investing into. And in the final video for this mini-series, we're going to cover what is arguably the most underwhelming upgrade of the bunch, Thorn Apart. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. Anyways, without any further ado, let's get right into it. So Thorn Apart is an interesting upgrade to say the very least. It's definitely a bit off-putting when you first see gameplay of it in action, but trust me, it's not as complicated as it might look. So what are we working with here? Well, allow me to show you. So unlike every other legendary upgrade, Rose doesn't lose or replace her primary, which is certainly an interesting attribute of this upgrade, but she still does lose something which, depending on how you play Rose, is potentially a make or break, that being her aim. Yes, she loses the ability to aim using this upgrade, but before you give up on this one, let me explain what she gains here. Up to this point, I'm sure you've noticed that she has a meter that's slowly ticking up. Well, that's actually a meter for a secondary attack, which is what makes this upgrade so unique. This attack is unsurprisingly titled Thorn Apart, and it's a 5-tiered attack that gains meter percentage based off of some of the things that Rose is capable of. We'll talk about that part soon, but let's first cover the damage of the attack. At a very bare minimum, this attack deals 20 damage. That's not bad, but we could do better. See the stripes in this meter? Well, when one of those fills up, Thorn Apart gains another orb. It can fill up to 5, and with 5, you could deal up to 100 damage. And these attacks aren't hard to aim or anything too. They actually track enemies down when you fire it near an enemy, provided you have a line of sight on them. That's pretty good. But alright, let's now cover how you can speed up the process of getting the orbs. Well, with absolutely no interference, you can get all the orbs in a little over 2 minutes, which is pretty meh. Luckily, you can speed this process up pretty quickly, and all you need to do is, well, use your abilities. No, seriously, that's the gimmick here. Helping your team with your abilities gives you orbs to use for even more damage and pressure. That's it. But it's really good. To give you an idea on how much meter is filled with each ability, Jinx fills up about 35 to 40% of your meter when an enemy gets vanquished with the effect on them. Arcane Enigma gives around 10% meter when you consistently buff teammates. And Godify fills up about 20% of your meter when you Godify something, which also stacks with each new Godify. You also get somewhere around 40% of your meter whenever you revive someone, so it actually gives Rose a reason to revive people as well. Overall, this meter is easier to fill than you might expect, and good Rose players can really take advantage of that. The one downside is the meter takes longer to fill up the further along you are in getting a high meter, but that's hardly an issue. You know, something that always bothered me about Rose in this game is that she isn't benefited nearly as much as the other buff/debuff characters are with their kits. Like, Angie gets a massive buff with his kit, and Rose is over here struggling to kill the enemies she herself codified. But with this upgrade, it actually gives her a lot more incentive to use her abilities, which is honestly something I wish they gave to her sooner. She desperately needed it, and that's especially true for her secondary attack. Overall, this upgrade is pretty good, though I will say that it's certainly not for everybody. That being said, I can't help but wonder how much better it can get with her upgrades, so let's take a look. Before we start, I just want to real quick say that this section right here almost wouldn't exist if it wasn't for 2 decent upgrades, one of which being an upgrade other characters get too. Seriously, poor Rose just doesn't have any variety. Of course, this is just my opinion, but after playing a lot of Rose in this game, I'm just gonna disregard some of her options completely. So ignoring all 1-point upgrades and leveling up, Rose has a measly 5 choices here. You want to hear them in order? Sure. Since it's the final video in this mini-series, I'll present our choices here differently. Escape. Makes Rose travel faster in the air. Doesn't make a major difference when she's sprinting, and it's not very practical when she isn't. Overall, meh. Revive Reward. Always a great option, but I believe that especially holds true with Thorn Apart, as it essentially benefits you in every single way when you revive someone. Carpool. Speaking of Arcane Enigma, this one is also pretty good too. It just allows you to get some extra orbs if you mess up your Arcane Enigma, but frankly, that's pretty useful compared to some of her other options, so take what you can get with this one. Pollination. Fine. I don't think this upgrade is all that useful, despite the concept seeming like a great pairing with Thorn Apart. You know what it is about this one? It's the fact that you can get Jinx so fast anyways, that even if you use this one and somehow didn't miscalculate where the vanquished opponent would be, you could still recover or even double down using your 9-second cooldown Jinx. Finally, Rollout. This one is purely situational, and you cannot tell me otherwise. Moving fast for a few seconds after spawning is neat, but it's not exactly the best for long-term sustainability, and when using an upgrade like Thorn Apart, that's kind of what matters. So yeah. My recommendations for upgrades you should use boil down to Revive Reward or Carpool. I know this section is short, but what can I say? Thorn Apart in of itself is a good upgrade, and because the additional upgrades are so little in number, it's hard to justify putting extensive time in this section. So overall, what are my final thoughts on Thorn Apart? Well, I think it's pretty good. Unlike Brainium Basher, the previous upgrade covered, I actually think this one can be used by a broader player base than the people who just want to feel cool playing a PVZ game. This upgrade is very practical and useful, and I recommend trying it once the Spring Ending prize map rolls around, because it makes playing Rose just a little more tolerable. And as somebody who absolutely despises this character, that means something. So that's every official legendary upgrade covered. I hope you guys enjoyed this mini-series, even if the final video in it was a little lacking. But regardless, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this upgrade. Do you think Thorn Apart is good? Do you not? Well, let me know in the comments down below. And if you're new around here and you like what you see, then subscribe. It helps me a lot and you'll be able to see more of my videos. Stay tuned for Project C, and I'll see you guys on my next video. Peace.